No.
All right, guys. So today we're going to actually start your final project for the subtraction exercises or the subtraction project. So you guys have done one initial one that was just a given surface subtraction. Then you were given a spatial subtraction one, and half of it was given, and half of it's supposed to be of your own design. Then the third box, the larger box that you guys had made, is the final project. The first two pieces were not architecture. They were just sort of form studies. The third piece is a piece of architecture. It's intended to be a building. And the handout that you've just been given, I'll hold this up so that the camera can see it, all right, it's called a project prompt, okay? In architecture school or in design school, you'll often be given these prompts, right, as a sort of a guiding document for the design of your project. Now, one of the things that typically happens in a lot of design schools is that students will kind of go, yeah, all right, and I just start designing, okay? And that causes some really big problems, because there's a lot of information on these 4 pages, and you can't just glance at it and expect to completely understand it, okay? So the process that I want you guys to go through in my class and with this first prompt is a process where you are going to essentially recompose this, okay, in a typewritten format in your own words. And you're going to take the areas that that there's information in, okay, in sort of a paragraph format, and you might have to take that thing and break it down into little pieces. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to produce a checklist of items in your own words of all of the things that you can check off as criteria for this project, okay? And what I want you guys to be aware of is that requires quite a bit of sort of critical thinking, okay? So it requires that you break things down into lots and lots of little individual items rather than allow things to remain in kind of a larger sort of paragraph, okay? Now, you'll probably do that for the first 3 pages, and the last page you don't, I'm guessing, don't have to put that into a checklist. The part that sort of guides you through the process of designing this project is the first 3 pages, okay? So if we glance at the very first thing, it says solar gallery project will combine what you have learned about subtraction as a form generator with a building used to display art. The building is elementary in that it is a single interior room with 2 outdoor porches, okay? Simplicity of this program is intended to keep focus on the project requirements related to the position in the local region, the specific property and site, and the building's relation to solar position. You are to think of the building as being a place that people would travel to visit for the experience, or as if the visitor were on a pilgrimage, okay? So what I need you guys to do is I need you guys to very carefully go through all of the written part of this, right, and then turn it into a typewritten checklist, okay? I'm going to be giving you guys time to do this in class. You are allowed to work in teams of 2. So let's see, are we at an even number here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. You guys are allowed to work in teams of 2 to do this, okay? So are there questions about what we're doing here? All right. One of the things that I want you guys to kind of be aware of is that when you read something, if you take extensive notes of what you're reading, right, you are far more apt to remember it than if you just simply read through it and use a highlighter to highlight stuff, okay? By writing something, in your own words, your mind has to process it. Your brain has to process it at multiple levels. And you're far more likely to remember something that you've had to read and figure out where to write it and how to write it and what you're going to write than just something that you glanced at on a piece of paper. So right now, I want you guys to sit down back at your desk in groups of 2 and start to dissect this thing into pieces. You can initially work, right, as handwritten notes, or you can put notes on the project prompt, okay? But by next class, it should be a typewritten list, a checklist that you can say, oh, all right, here, let me give you an example, all right? Looking at one of the items, it says the depth of the entry porch is 5 feet. The width of the entry porch is between 12 and 24 feet. The wide dimension is to be placed on the east facade. The height of the porch is between 12 and 20 feet tall. The entry porch is to be located only on the northeast or southeast corner of the building. So that's kind of written into one sort of item right there. And what I'm looking for out of that is that you can check off, yes, I located the building on the southeast corner. It's not in the middle, right? Another check might say the depth of the entry porch is 5 feet. Check, yes. Okay? Otherwise, there is so much stuff here, right, that it's easy to miss something as you're designing. And I know this because I've been using this project now for a full year, so there have been 2 other sets of students that have gone through this. And, you know, it's real easy to tell when they have not carefully read the document. Because the porch, some people will do the porch 3 feet deep. Other people will make it 8 feet deep. It's like, that doesn't look right. What do you mean? Well, it's supposed to be 5 feet deep. Well, where does it say that? In the project prompt. Okay? So are there any questions about this? All right, so pick your teams, go back, start working on this thing, and get it to where it's going to turn into a checklist.